eyes just recently, I woke up to a dull, monotonous knocking. Dusk was settling outside. In the fading light, the outlines of objects were still visible, but darkness was moments away. My head sank back into the pillow, my eyelids closed, and then the knocking came again, clearer this time. At the door. I wasn't expecting anyone. The knocking repeated, slow at first, then more insistent. Why are they knocking? There's a doorbell, I thought irritably. I got up and reached for the switch in the bedroom. No light. Tried again in the hallway. Nothing. The power was out. Coming. Just a minute, I called out, hoping they'd stop pounding. For a moment it went quiet, but then the heavy blows started again, joined by a voice. It's me, Andy. The power is out in the whole building. Do you have any batteries? I recognized the voice. My neighbor, Mark, the old man I'd sometimes run into. Usually he'd bother me with endless stories, but he was harmless, even kind. Strange that he came to me. He always went upstairs to his relative whenever he needed something. The knocking went on. I rummaged through my desk drawers, but I didn't think I had any batteries. It's me, Andy. The power's out in the whole building. Do you have any batteries? What was I doing? Digging in drawers while the old man stood waiting outside. I should at least let him in. I unlocked the latch, but the door wouldn't budge. Right, I had locked it with the key too. Mark, hold on. I'll find the key. It's me, Andy. The power's out in the whole building. Do you have any batteries? The exact same words, the exact same tone, like a recording on repeat. I peered through the peephole. In the dim light from the stairwell, his outline was blurry, but that only made it more unsettling. He stood motionless, frozen in place. Then his hand suddenly rose and slammed against the door 3 times, echoing through the hallway. It's me, Andy. The power's out in the whole building. Do you have any batteries? His voice had changed, metallic, mechanical. Each word was punctuated by a faint clicking, as if some hidden mechanism inside his throat was forcing the sound out. Trying to sound calm, I replied, Mark, I don't have any batteries. I'm out. The figure twitched, then slowly slid away. A moment later, his apartment door slammed shut. Silence. An hour and a half later, the power came back, but I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. In the morning, I stepped into the hallway. My chest tightened, but the bright daylight seemed to push away the night's dread. I was about to head downstairs when Mark's door swung open. His relative stood there, crying, while the police moved inside the apartment. I stayed at my son's last night, came back this morning, and Mark, her voice broke. He was in the bathroom, blood everywhere, a flashlight beside him. He must have fallen, hit his head. He's dead. The doctor said he died last night, around 7. she covered her face with her hands. It took me a moment to understand. My hands were shaking. If he died in the evening, who was knocking at my door? Time has passed since then, but even now, when the new tenants slam their door, I flinch. Because in my head, I still hear that same monotonous voice. It's me, Andy. The power's out in the whole building. Do you have any batteries? It was just an ordinary weekday evening. I was heading home, exhausted, my hands heavy with grocery bags. Work had drained every bit of energy out of me, and household chores were still waiting ahead. My mood was darker than the night sky. At times like these, it was best not to cross my path. But then I noticed a boy near the entrance to my building, 6, maybe 7 years old, thin, pale, dressed far too lightly for the chilly evening. He stood completely still, staring up at the glowing windows above as if searching for something important. It was already getting dark. A cold drizzle began to fall, and the thought of a child standing there alone in such weather wouldn't let me walk past. "Hey," I stopped. "Are you lost?" He slowly turned his head, looking at me with those large, sorrowful eyes, and nodded. Not a word, just a nod. That's how our conversation went on. My questions, and either a nod or a shake of the head. "Do you remember where you live?" A shake of the head. "Should I call the police?" Again, a shake of the head. "All right then, let me drop these bags at home, and we'll go look for your parents together. They must be worried sick. Okay." This time, he nodded, and the faintest trace of a smile crossed his face. I rushed upstairs, threw the bags down in the hallway, meaning only to grab my keys and come right back. But when I turned toward the living room window, I froze. On the fire escape, outside the glass, stood the boy, the same expression, the same faint smile. But I live on the 6th floor. My heart plummeted. I slowly stepped back, and that's when he spoke. The voice wasn't human. It was like the howl of a winter wind, the crack of breaking ice, the desperate cry of someone falling beneath the frozen river. All of it at once. "You promised to help. You promised to help." The words repeated, over and over. His clothes were bone dry, though the rain outside lashed harder against the window. Only his lips moved in rhythm with the phrase. Not knowing why, I turned toward the front door, as if compelled to run, down the stairs, away from him, or maybe toward him. I didn't know. I only knew I had to get out. I bolted out of the apartment, raced down the stairwell, and burst outside. But the boy was gone. No one by the entrance. No one on the fire escape. What the hell had I just seen? I couldn't begin to understand. The next morning, I ran into my talkative neighbor. As usual, she launched into complaints about her health. Yesterday I felt so awful because of the weather, nearly fainted. Everything was spinning before my eyes. I looked out the window and she hesitated. It seemed like a boy was standing by the entrance. A boy? I asked, my chest tightening, though I didn't yet realize why. Well, you're new here, you probably don't know, she said, lowering her voice. A tragedy happened a few years ago. The couple that lived above you, their son disappeared. He was supposed to wait for his mother after school, but she was late. He tried walking home alone, and he never made it. They searched everywhere. No trace was ever found. I stood there in shock, her words echoing inside me. The boy's pale face, his sorrowful eyes, that cold, faint smile, all burned into my memory. And above all, those words that still echoed endlessly in my mind. You promised to help. We like to believe our home is a stronghold, untouchable by the outside world. But sometimes the darkest stories unfold right where we feel the safest. I'm in my 3rd year at university now, and I rarely get the chance to visit my parents. They're always happy when I come back, and this time was no different. A long family dinner, laughter, familiar conversations. Exhausted after the journey, I went to bed early. But as soon as I closed my eyes, I heard it. A faint murmur, like someone whispering in the corner of my room. I opened my eyes just a little and thought I saw a shadow move. Then headlights from a passing car swept across the walls, washing everything in pale light. Nothing was there. I told myself it was only fatigue and drifted into sleep. The next morning, during breakfast, my mother suddenly grew pale. Do you remember your old classmate? The one who lived just a few houses away? I nodded, not sure why she asked. And then she told me that girl had been murdered. Her boyfriend, in a fit of jealous rage, beat her so badly that there wasn't an untouched place left on her face. I froze. We had never been very close, but she had been kind, cheerful, undeserving of such a cruel end. All day I couldn't get her image out of my head. By evening I forced myself to push the thoughts away and went to bed, hoping sleep would finally come. But it didn't. Cars kept passing, their lights slashing across my room. And then I heard it again. The whisper, only this time it was sharper, closer. The next sweep of headlights revealed her, a thin figure in the corner, trembling, with hair tangled and hanging over her shoulders, naked, shaking, her skin pale in the light. But her face was gone. Where her features should have been, there was only a dark, bloody mass. From it came that awful whisper. I couldn't move. When the light faded, she vanished. But with the next car, she was standing at the window, fingers twitching, nails clicking together, her head tilted toward me. The whisper grew louder. My face. Where is my face? Give it back. I finally screamed. I don't have your face. The darkness swallowed her again. My heart hammered so violently, I thought it might burst. Then, suddenly, the ceiling lamp flicked on. My mother had rushed in, woken by my cry. Through tears, I told her everything. She comforted me, saying it was just a nightmare. But I know it wasn't. I remember too clearly the smell of rust, of blood, the way her hands trembled, the way she looked straight at me without eyes. Ever since that night, I can't sleep in that house without fear. Every time headlights sweep the room, I freeze, waiting, and sometimes I swear I hear her again, that same whisper, closer each time. Now, when I look into the mirror, I notice something strange. My reflection looks almost right, but not quite. As if the face looking back at me isn't entirely mine.